Some big changes potentially coming to our unemployment system. Increasing benefits, having unemployment last longer than normal, and include more people. I've got those details and the likelihood of this change even going through. I've got that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Do we need unemployment insurance reform? Do we need to reform unemployment? I mean, last week, Congress actually introduced a bill to do that very thing. Now, to me, I get it because we are going through a time period where our unemployment system has been stretched to the max, all right? And this hasn't been just a normal recession. The government caused the recession in response to the pandemic, to the health concerns. The government said, stop the economy, don't work, you can't operate your business, blah, blah, blah. All these people flooded the unemployment system. And in response, the government said, okay, we will add a weekly amount, we will stretch it longer, we'll do all these other things. To me, as a consumer and a taxpayer, I look and say, okay, well, that sort of makes sense because the government, this wasn't a normal recession. The government said, cause recession. The government said, we're going to stop the economy. Would we have gone into a recession if they hadn't? I mean, probably, possibly, I don't know. But when the government says you can't work, I sort of get that the government would then pony up and help out in an extraordinary way those who are out of work, right? That sort of makes sense. Last week, some Congress folks introduced a bill called the Unemployment Insurance Modernization Act, aimed at making some of the changes that we've seen with unemployment during the pandemic, making those permanent, okay? Lots of different features here. I'm gonna break them down by section. First, at its base, basically what the bill plans to do, intends to do, is increase the weekly amount of unemployment, extend how long someone can stay on unemployment, and include other people. What do I mean by that? All right, so let's break it down. Right now, each state operates their unemployment, and each state has a different amount, but it's designed to replace about 50% of someone's weekly earnings with a cap, okay, up to a limit, up to a cap. That's how the current system works, and unemployment currently lasts for 13 weeks. That's how the base system works. Through this new act, that would increase the weekly unemployment amount from about 50% to about 75% replacement up to a certain cap. Right now, the example cited here in this article from CNBC is that in Louisiana, current caps to benefits for the state are about $250 a week. Under this new legislation, that cap would increase to about $541 per week. That's significant, okay? So that the amount per week under the bill would increase substantially, okay? And then instead of unemployment lasting for 13 weeks, it would automatically last 26 weeks, automatically, just like that. You wouldn't need some sort of congressional action to extend it like we have done the past few recessions, extending it from 13 weeks to 26 and 52 and beyond. Automatically, unemployment's 26 weeks. In addition to those expansion of benefits are extended to other people. What do I mean by that? If you have dependent children, this bill would automatically include paying you per dependent child. Per dependent on your tax return, there'd be an additional benefit added to your weekly amount. The federal government would pay $25 per week per dependent while you're on unemployment. That's significant, okay? So this new plan not only enhances your weekly benefit, extends it to 26 weeks, it also adds new people, meaning for your dependents, you would receive a weekly amount, $25, and all individuals that are gig workers or freelancers or self-employed who haven't, up until the pandemic, haven't ever been eligible for unemployment, now would be for up to $250 per week for up to 26 weeks. That's incredible. That's a unique feature. I don't have the name right in front of me. It's in the article that we'll link below in the description, but it has a unique clause or unique section within this bill to speak to and to serve and to benefit those that are contract workers, self-employed, gig workers, freelancers, that sort of thing. So my question is, at least for those, is, well, does that mean you freelancers, self-employed, you're going to now have to pay an additional tax? Because right now, what most people aren't fully aware of is, well, how is unemployment even funded right now? Does the government just print that money? Do the states take out loans for that money? No, actually, businesses pay unemployment taxes for each employee, okay? And then that unemployment rate that these businesses pay is connected to how many claims that they've received, how much turnover you have, how many people are actually applying for benefits that you've paid into the system for. And so if you're self-employed, if you're a freelancer, you don't have an employer that's paying into unemployment insurance for you on your behalf. And so now that this bill would create coverage specifically for subcontractors or contractors, does that mean there's going to be a new tax for contractors as well? I don't know. Bill doesn't suggest that or doesn't say that. I wonder. The final part of the Unemployment Insurance Modernization Act that would expand coverage to more people is who's eligible to collect on unemployment. Right now, in order to be eligible, you have to be terminated from your employment, okay, for involuntarily terminated, okay? So you were doing everything right and you were just downsized. You were doing everything right, the company just let you go. And right now within the bill, you can read it again, they're talking about expanding that to some folks who voluntarily leave a position because of certain reason, and their reasons like I needed to care for a child or something like that, that say, hey, I'm no longer able to work. It's my decision. I'm leaving because I've got this other thing going on in my life. And in those circumstances, this bill would say, yeah, you're still eligible for unemployment. So what are the chances this thing passes? I actually think there's a decent likelihood that this thing does pass. I mean, there's clauses in here that say automatically when there's a recession, we're going to expand benefits to this and so on and lengthen it and so on. Right now, all of that takes congressional action. Well, that congressional action was enacted this past recession. It was enacted the recession before that and the recession before that. So it's almost like this would create new rules instead of Congress making up rules along the way, okay? And so there's sort of a precedence for that. So maybe this is a new set of rules that we could all expect and plan off of, and Congress wouldn't change the rules going along. But because of that, because congressional action has been taken with unemployment the past several recessions, I think there's a good likelihood that this thing passes. The opposition will be who pays for it. And so will this be businesses paying more in their unemployment? Will it be small, freelancers and small self-employed individuals? Will they have to start paying more taxes? Will this be taxes on those making over $400,000? I don't know. I'm not sure who they expect to pay for this, but that'll obviously be part of the likelihood of whether this thing actually goes somewhere. For you specifically, though, don't rely on this going somewhere. You still need to be proactive in your financial life, planning ahead, not only just to, have financial success, but also to protect yourself in the event of emergencies. And the number one emergency is sudden job loss for whatever the reason, voluntary or involuntary, okay? And so building up that emergency fund and making sure that's fully funded. Remember, that was the number one regret that consumers had 3 months into the pandemic. Number one regret was, I wish I'd have had an emergency fund in place and I don't have one. So get one in place now. Don't just rely on unemployment benefits to be boosted and that will be your help. Second thing I would tell you is make sure you're in tune with your budget. The other shock absorber that you have from a sudden job loss or income change is having margin in your budget. And that's an unpopular thing to suggest, because that means, you've got money coming in that you could spend, but don't spend it. Save it up instead. That's that margin that's helpful just in case you have a sudden change to your income. That's the role. I mean, part of that, helping you with that, exploring some of those opportunities, some of those ideas, that's part of the job of your certified financial planner. So work with your CFP on that. If you don't have one on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com, that's Korhorn with a K, wisemoneyshow.com, you can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.